bloody horrific.
Hey friends, it's me, Amy Rebecca, your internet bestie for all things personal development, intentional living and dream chasing. Now, as many of you know, I have been on a mission to get into the best shape of my life. And honestly, mission kind of accomplished because I have never been as fit and as strong as I am right now. I mean, my little noodle arms are kind of letting down the team a little bit because I still can't shoulder press more than the 6 kg dumbbell. But that aside, I am in the best shape I've ever been in and I'm continuing to get fitter and stronger and it feels so good. Anyway, as part of this whole fitness journey, I decided to take up running again earlier on this year. Now, I don't have the best track record with running. I did the Couch to 5K back in 2020 and it was horrific.
Oh, I just did it. I just ran 5K.
But I said to myself when I finished that, you know what, I'm going to stick with this, I'm going to keep running. And I did not. And then last year I did the Race for Life 5K and in many ways that was even more traumatic.
I'm dying, died.
But I came away and again I said, I'm going to stick at this. And I did not. And so this year I said to myself, hey, what if I just run 10K? How hard can it be? Now, the context that I truly need for you to have is that I suck at running. And I'm not saying that to be modest. I'm not saying it to be cute. There's nothing cute about this. I just truly believe that some of us are not designed to do certain things with ease. And for me, that's running. And also anything that requires catching or throwing. Like for instance, swimming is something that's always just come very naturally easy to me. And even when I haven't been in particularly great shape, I've still been able to keep up in the pool in a way that I've never been able to keep up on the land. Which as a human just feels like not right. I should have been a fish. Anyway, despite all this, I signed up for the Swansea Bay 10K. Now bear in mind that not too long ago, I could barely run for 1 minute without stopping and feeling like my heart was about to explode out of my chest. But I have this like delusional self-belief and this annoying need to prove to myself that I can do things that I feel are impossible. So I just signed up anyway. So today we're going to talk about how I trained for a 10K as a girlie who genuinely sucks at running, what that looked like, and what I've learned along the way. So first off, it's worth saying that I truly had no concept of what I was doing going into training for a 10K. Like I said, I did previously do the Couch to 5K. I found that to be challenging but helpful. And I know that there are 10K options of that available, but all of the training plans that I was looking at online, all of those things just seemed to gallop along at a pace that I wasn't comfortable with. Like a lot of them were spread out over 6 or 8 weeks and I'm like, girl, I'm gonna need significantly longer to get there than that. So I made a little training plan DIY in the notes app of my phone and I set out 3 runs a week at very gradual increments. I'm about to head out on run 1. The weather's really nice out today, so I put on my shorts. Look how pale these legs are. Okay, wish me luck.
Okay, well I haven't even started yet and I already have a stitch from running around the house trying to find my belt. That does not bode well.
For me, and I think for a lot of other beginner runners as well, there is a physical barrier when you first start running, but there's also a huge mental barrier. And mapping out my training in a way that just had very gradual increments over a longer space of time made it seem a lot less overwhelming and a lot more achievable to me. I am always an advocate for slow progress. Like in anything I do, I try and give myself the most amount of time so that I can make the changes more slowly, because I have found, and I truly believe, that that is where sustainable change happens. If you try and take on too much too quickly, number 1, it's way harder. Number 2, it's way more overwhelming. And number 3, I don't think it gives you the time to actually make lasting change. So when I first started the training process, I could comfortably run 1K. I could uncomfortably run 2, and every extra half a K that I could push myself each time, I took that as a real victory.
Cheers. I've burnt my esophagus. Oh, it's still burning. I just got out to yoga. I am feeling like my best, most relaxed self right now. And halfway through the session, I was like, maybe I'll come out of yoga and just go straight on my run rather than waiting for this afternoon. I mean, I hate running in the morning. Hate it. I've only ever tried it once, to be fair, and it was horrific. But I just feel like I'm already out It might rain later. Maybe I should just get it over and done with.
Today I'm going to be doing run number 7, which is a 3k run. I ran 3k last weekend and it was okay. I am starting to feel really tired though. I think it's probably just my body adjusting to all the additional exercise. So I'm still going and doing all of my morning workout classes and then adding the running in on top. My little legs are like, girl, what is going on? One of the things that I realized really quickly when I was training for this 10k was that I was going to need to slow the heck down, because I found that when I was running, I was getting really out of breath, really tired. I was having to slow down and walk a lot, and it felt very frustrating. And it's simply because I was running too fast. And let me be clear, when I say I was running too fast, I was still running very slowly. But I was running faster than a comfortable, sustainable pace for me. Because here's the thing, the key to increasing your distance, especially when you're a beginner runner, is to slow down your pace. And sometimes that actually feels quite hard because it almost feels like you are barely running at all, especially for someone like me with a slower pace anyway. It feels like, girl, I'm gonna be going backwards in a second. But that's good, that's what you want, because whenever you're training to run further, whether that is your first 5k, your first 10k, a half marathon, if you're trying to run further than you've ever run before, you have to run more slowly to cover the distance. My pace personally is around about 8 minutes per kilometer, sometimes slower. And I'm not even gonna lie, it can feel frustrating and it can feel a little demoralizing when you're trying your best and someone just flies past you on the running path. Or you see the TikTok girlies and they're, you know, doing their very glamorous 6-minute kilometer runs and you're just like shuffling along. And that does come down to ego. A lot of the time it comes down to comparison, but the reality is, and what you really need to accept, is that we are all different. If 5 minutes per kilometer is comfortable to you, that is just as valid as if 9 minutes per kilometer is comfortable to you. And you just need to learn to ignore what everyone else is doing and what everyone else's pace looks like, because I know I'm not vying to be a professional athlete, and presumably neither are you. So who cares? This is something that we're doing for fun. It's a hobby. We're doing it for our mental health, for our physical health. And once you start to berate yourself for not going fast enough, and you start to wear yourself out by pushing yourself beyond what is reasonable for your body and where you are at, it's no longer fun. It's like a weird punishment that you're instilling on yourself. Don't do that. I'm deviating away from my regular 10k training plan today. I'm gonna do the Race for Life Pretty Muddy 5k, which is a 5k fun run slash obstacle course slash mud pit. So technically I will be doing 5k today instead of the 3.5k I have planned on my training schedule, but I don't necessarily foresee myself running the whole thing. And because I'll be stopping to do the obstacles, I think that's going to be a lot easier than just trying to like flat out run a 5k, although obstacles are also hard, so I don't know why I think that. I don't know, I guess we'll find out. We have arrived and I've just realised this is the first time I'm ever going to have to run without my Apple Watch, because it is waterproof, but I don't trust that. I'm not taking that thing in the mud. Very muddy. I can't wait to get in the shower. I just tried to put my sunglasses like in my hair and it's so caked in mud that they won't go in.
I absolutely smashed that. I did the full 3.5k without stopping and without breaking a sweat. I am a little bit sweaty. Like, it was a very enjoyable run, and this confused look on my face is so necessary because I really didn't expect that. I think the run on Saturday really helped to put things into perspective for me, because when I was running with Hayley, her pace was a lot slower than mine, which is not a criticism. She was right. She was running a much more reasonable pace for a beginner runner. And my problem is, obviously, as I've been getting fitter and stronger, I can run faster, but I can't run faster and further. And right now, my priority is trying to run further. So in order to do that, I need to maintain my speed so that I can do it for longer, whereas I've been just like naturally running faster. and then I can't run as far. So I was really mindful today of like, okay, am I matching the speed I was running with Hayley on the weekend, or am I going too fast? And I kept slowing myself down, and it was great. It was really good. I'm really not sure what just happened. I was meant to be out for a 3.5k run, and I accidentally ran 4k. I have no idea how that happened, because I was looking at my watch every like 5 seconds towards the end, waiting for the misery to be over. And then when I stopped, I was like, oh, I accidentally ran another half a k. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, so yeah, that's another 4k done unexpectedly, but still, I'll take it.
Another thing I noticed was throughout this 10k training process, I had a real Jekyll and Hyde situation going on up in my brain about stopping to walk. Because logically, I know it is okay and no big deal if you have to stop and catch your breath for a second, or if you get a stitch and you have to stop and stretch it out, or if you have to stop, tie your shoelace. Whatever the reason is that you have to stop, that is okay, and I know that. Look, I'm about to head out on a run, and I am less than enthusiastic. The main thing is getting out there and doing it. The truth is, sometimes you're going to be able to run further, sometimes you're going to be able to run faster, and that is just because we are not robots, we are humans. It's okay to stop and walk if you need to stop and walk. I am not running for the UK in the Olympics. It's really not that deep. So let's get out there, let's see what happens. And even if the run isn't spectacular, that's fine, at least I will have done it. But as much as I know that, and I would keep telling myself that, I still found myself consistently feeling irritated anytime that I couldn't do the run that I had scheduled start to finish without stopping. And that's just a competitive thing within me that is really not serving me, and I need to get over that. And I think I did start to come to terms with that as time went on, but it still lives inside of me, that competitiveness, that need to just prove I can do it, and that is something I will continue to work on. Also, one thing that surprised me about training for a 10k and that whole training process was quite how non-linear that is. And I know, like I've already said, we're not robots, you have good days, you have bad days. I knew it wasn't going to be like a straight line of progress, but I didn't expect it to be quite so erratic. I guess I was thinking that going from 1 to 5k would be the hardest part of training, because that would be building up my basic, like my running legs and my running breathing and all those things that I'd kind of lost. And then after the 5k, from there on out, it would be a breeze. I would just be, you know, continuously getting fitter and stronger and faster and better. And that just wasn't the case. One minute I'd be feeling absolutely unstoppable. Then the next time I went out for a run, my legs would feel like lead. It would feel like my heart was trying to claw its way out of my chest. And I'd be looking around like, what the heck is going on? The progress was not just non-linear, it was all over the freaking place. I got to 5k, I felt really good about it, I was feeling really strong. And then everything took a big step backwards. I've got a 5.5k run on my training schedule for this evening, and if I run that without stopping, it'll be the furthest I've ever run in my entire life. Nailed it! I managed to get my 5k in under 40 minutes. Can't see me for dust. And you know what? As I was running this evening, I felt different. I feel like my body is finally adapting to running, and it felt comfortable. There wasn't a point at which I thought, I really need to stop soon, my legs are hurting, or I'm getting out of breath, or my heart is pounding like it's trying to escape my chest. I just felt at ease.
That sucked. Bloody horrific. Oh. Absolute disaster. I had to abandon the run 3k in, which is the first time since I've started training that I've left mid-run and just said, no, can't run anymore.
And honestly, by the time I got to about week 8 of my training plan, I really started to struggle. I wasn't seeing the progress I wanted to see. I was still having days where I was going out and struggling to run 2k without stopping. And it got to a point where I started to feel really disheartening and also a little bit troubling, because I really started to doubt myself. You know, looking back, prior to signing up for this insane thing that I did to myself, 10k had always seemed like an impossibility for me personally. You know, just based on how hard it was to get to 5k, it wasn't like I was someone who got to 5k and then thought, and now 10k is in reach. I got to 5k and thought, I never want to run again. But then I managed to convince myself that, you know, with time and with consistency and with perseverance, of course I would be able to do it. I had run the 5k, logically I would be able to run the 10k. So then when I started to hit this wall and I wasn't seeing the progress and I was struggling still to do the short runs, I started to worry that actually it was going to be impossible after all and that I was going to fail at this. It opened up a door for a lot of self-doubt, and I think in a way that is a self-perpetuating spiral in not just running but many things in life. If you start to doubt yourself and tell yourself you can't do it, then your body will follow suit and then you won't do it, and then it's just evidence that you bank in your head that, yeah, look at me, I'm not doing it, and then you start to spiral in a negative way. And I really wanted to give up by like week 9. I was over it. I was crying a lot, running and crying, like in public, bawling my eyes out as I ran. It was not a good time for me personally, but I really wanted to quit. I was over it. I felt not great about myself because I felt like I just couldn't do it. But one thing about me is that I am a stubborn brat, and so I said to myself, girl, no, you said you're gonna do it and you're gonna do it, and the only way you're gonna know for sure if you can do it or not is to just try. So I wiped away my little raccoon eyes and all the sweat and I kept going. I decided to run down to the gym again this morning, and it's not far, it's about 2.5k, but about 1k in, my knee started to feel a little bit dodgy. Ended up not doing the workout class and just turning around and walking back, which took forever, but I really just don't want to injure myself or cause any damage. It's 4 weeks until the race. I've been training for 10.5 weeks for this. I do not want at this final hurdle to hurt myself and then not be able to do what I want to do. I'm just gonna rest it and hope for the best. Fun fact, my training plan started to fall apart towards the end. As I got into about week 9 or 10, I started to have issues with my knee. My joints are not particularly good to begin with, which is one of the reasons why running is like such a hassle to me, I think. But I started to get this knee pain, and then I got a cold and I couldn't breathe, my sinuses were bad, and then I just found myself slipping into a habit of making excuses to not go out and run. Once I'd missed a couple for genuine reasons like injury or illness, then it opened the door for me to just make excuses because I just didn't want to go. And this is why you hear me talk about motivation all the time and why you just can't freaking rely on it. It is like that flaky ass friend who is always there when it's a good time and there's a party. She shows up and you're like, we love her. But then when it comes down to it and you really need her, she is nowhere to be found. Motivation is that friend. You know, because at the beginning, it was exciting. It was new. I was so motivated. I was so committed. I was getting out there and I was running 3 times a week and I was like, look at me go. But by week 11, let me tell you, I was tired. I was frustrated and motivation had left me high and dry. And it was a struggle to get myself out into the heat. Like, we were at peak summer at that point. And I just didn't want to go out there and get sweaty and run around in the heat. It's gross. And you know, as the runs got longer, it was harder to force myself out the door. Because it's one thing going out for a quick 3-kilometer run, but then once the runs get to be like over an hour long, it's a lot harder to like convince yourself to get up and go out and do that. But when I got into that little bit of a rut, it didn't last long because I just started saying to myself, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the girl who is out there running and doing the damn thing that she said she was going to do? Or do you want to be the girl who is sat on her butt, not following through on the things she said she would do and letting herself down? I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. The goal is to run 8.5k today, and it's probably going to be in little increments because this will be my first big run back since I had the cold. Blackcurrant. I'm still quite sniffly, I'm still quite congested, but I think with little walking breaks in between I should be able to do this. Gotta get back to it. Gotta get back on that horse or whatever. Gotta get back to it. I haven't got enough time to take any more of a break. How did we end up here? It is 20 to 5 in the afternoon slash kind of evening at this point, I guess. In a few hours, I'm going on holiday. I'm flying to Dubrovnik for a few days. And instead of doing a little pamper session, as I usually would, you know, making sure I've shaved my legs, give my hair a nice hair mask, get myself relaxed and feeling good, holiday mode activated, I'm gonna go for a long run. Who have I become? Who am I? Is this real life? Is this okay? I just know that the race is less than 2 weeks away. Is that true? That is true. I've not been able to get in as many runs as I comfortably would have liked to recently. And I'm not going to be running in Dubrovnik. So that means I need to go out and run for an hour and then come home, shower, and go to the airport, which seems absolutely freaking unhinged. How did I become this person? I don't understand.
I lived to tell the tale. This lighting is very flattering because you can't see how sweaty and disgusting I am. But I swear I am.
And honestly, it didn't stop being hard. I know this is like an advert for why you shouldn't run. It's not. But I want to be completely honest, because I think a lot of times when you see social media running content, doesn't it just look like fun the whole time? Doesn't it just look like wonderful? It's not, it's hard. And it never stopped being hard. But there is no feeling like completing a run that you didn't want to do. If you can look down at your watch and say, oh my god, I just ran the furthest I've ever run and I didn't even want to get off the sofa today, but I did it. Like, showing up for yourself in that way is so empowering. It makes you feel so good about yourself. It gives you this huge wave of endorphins. It's not like anything else I've ever experienced. And I'm not talking about runner's high. I've only had that twice in my life. I wish I had it more because that's pretty good. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the intense sense of satisfaction you get once the run is done. Anyway, the point is, I fell behind on my training schedule. I fell into a little bit of a rut for a while. I got myself back out of it, but by the time the 10k rolled around, the furthest I'd actually ever run was just over 7k without stopping. And truly, by the time the race day, some people were racing, I was not, I was just trying to survive, but by the time the race day came around, I genuinely wasn't sure whether I was capable of running that far. Because remember, I had been doing 500-meter increments, and now all of a sudden this final increment is like 3k, and I was terrified. So the race is tomorrow and I'm scared. I'm nervous. Like, every time I think about it, I have adrenaline. I'm worried. You know, I've been training for this for what feels like many lifetimes. I can't remember a time when I wasn't training for this 10k, and yet I still don't feel prepared. It's just feeling very real now. Real and big and intimidating. Also, as like an added splinter in my ass, I went to the gym this week when I got back from Croatia, picked up a few of my regular gym classes, didn't think anything of it, and because I'd had that break while I was away, I guess my muscles forgot how to work. My legs were like, oh, us? Us? You want us to do something? Oh no, we don't squat, we don't do that anymore. And my hamstrings are killing me. And I mean, that was from kettlebells on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's 3 days. They've got to be better tomorrow, right? Right? I am going to be furiously using my massage gun. Let me show you actually. This thing has been worth its weight in gold. Since I've been training for this 10k, I use it so often on my hamstrings and also on my back. Like, I tend to get a lot of back pain just in general. It's the Bob and Brad one. I'll link it down below. I've been sponsored by them in the past and I have another sponsorship coming up with them. This video isn't sponsored. I just genuinely think that this is amazing and I use it all the time. Like, my hamstrings are feeling better today than they did yesterday, but they're still a little bit tight. And I don't want, obviously, any pain like that tomorrow when I'm trying to run. So my plan for the rest of the day is to relax, try not to panic, hydrate, and get to bed nice and early. And did I mention not panic? I'm trying not to panic, but I am panicking. But I'm trying not to. Don't panic. Nothing but fear. Just fear. Oh wait. Also a little bit of nausea. 20 minutes to go. Ah!
Oh my baby, got me staring at you. So I'm crazy. Won't you bend that back for me? We won't stop. Got your feet both locked. You get to fly with me. I can take you down for a ride. I take you around my life. Jaywalking, crosswalking, lip blocking, but you, I know it, you know it, we make it.
I did it. I managed to run the whole 10k without stopping, which was my main goal. At about 6k I started to get this pain in my foot, which I've been getting anytime I run more than 6k, and I've always thought it was just cramp, and I thought that's fine, I'll just run it off. I in fact did not run it off, and it really, the last like 500 meters, I wanted to cry. It was so painful, but I kept going. I just can't believe I did it. I cannot believe I did it. You know, I've been training for this for what feels like my whole life. And when I started, and not just even when I started, but consistently throughout the whole of this training process, it seemed like a physical impossibility that I was going to be able to actually run the whole 10k, because it hasn't been easy. There have been a lot of tears. A lot of tears, even today. You know, I've had a few injuries along the way. I've had some bad days. I've had a lot of self-doubt. And I think one of the greatest things in life that you can do for yourself is to go out there and do something that feels impossible. Because if something feels like, oh, I could never do that, and then you actually put in the work and you show up and you do the thing that previously seemed impossible, it makes you feel like you can do anything. And that's how I feel right now. I feel really proud of myself, which is why I cried so much when I crossed the finish line. That wasn't even about my foot, that was just about like this wave of pride in like, wow, the last, you know, few months have all built up to this moment, and it felt very touch and go the whole time, and I did it. I did it. Now I really smell. I need to shower so bad. So I guess it's true what they say, all's well that ends well. I did it. I think that will go up there as one of my greatest accomplishments in life. Now, people have asked me, will you now do a half marathon? And the answer is no. No! But I might run another 10k. I hope this video has been kind of a very real, raw, honest insight into what it's like to run for people for whom running does not come naturally. And if that is you, you are seen. I see you. And I just want to let you know that it is still possible for you. If you're looking at all of these people on social media or around you in your run club or in real life who are so much faster and they can run for so much longer, and they just started last week and they've zoomed past you, and you're like, what the heck is this? I've been training for this for 6 months. How are you faster than me already? And maybe it makes you doubt yourself, or maybe it makes you feel like you're kind of an anomaly. I see you. I understand where you're coming from. Just keep at it. You can do it. I believe in you. I am proud of you. No matter how far, no matter how fast, whatever success looks like for you, it is valid, and you need to celebrate that and feel proud of yourself. That's all from me today, guys. Remember that I love you so much. You are enough just as you are, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.